Hey guys, first to Regardsman here, and the other day I put out a community post to ask you guys what your Space Marine 2 hot takes were. It's been about 2 days, and there are about 200 comments now in this thread. So before this gets more insane, I'm just going to go through every single one of these, because that is my chosen mission this evening. So number one, we have Slot Skeleton saying, if I have a 1.0 caliber machine gun with explosive rounds, there is no reason that I should have to shoot a Tyranid warrior 15 times in the face to kill it. You know, that's a good point, and the bolters in this game are anything but lore accurate for the most part, but that's more like a fundamental design problem in this game as far as I'm concerned. They should do more damage, they really should, but the way they have the difficulty set up, it would just be totally unbalanced. They'd have to like reset the game or like have more enemies and like just reset how the entire combat system works. And you know, if you were to just turn up the bolter rounds to like do insta kill damage, the game would be a snooze fest. So there's that. Now next comment here is Assault either needs a primary weapon or the same cooldown as campaign for their jetpack. Now I kind of agree that a primary weapon could help the Assault class. The main reason that Vanguard is better than the Assault class for healing, even outside of like his healing perks, is because he has a primary weapon for contested health recovery, and the cooldown for the jetpack would kind of make him like super OP, because Assault has tremendous Nova damage on melee attacks and like ground pounds, so that would kind of break him at times, but he could definitely use like a contested health recovery perk. Not too hot of a take there, though. Now, next comment here is bolters in this game are glorified machine guns and don't feel like bolters at all. Also, the melter rifles, anti-tank, by the way, doesn't melt a biovore. What? Yeah, the melter rifles are pretty much just shotguns in this game, fiery shotguns, and let's be real, some of their damage output is like Donkey Kong bongo cheeks, as I've once said before and will say again, and does not feel at all like a proper melter rifle. Melter rifles are supposed to be like the super ultra fuck you destroyer of ceramite armor alongside plasma, and that is just not at all what they feel like in this game. And as far as bolters go, same thing as above, they're just not lore accurate. It's really a fundamental game design problem, in my opinion, at least as far as like lore accuracy goes. And then this comment here, the biovore is idiotically designed. The heads being armored against headshots when they hunker down is just infuriating garbage. I hate biovores. I agree entirely. I don't think this is a hot take. I think they are just incredibly overtuned at times. They take way too little damage in like their little like hunched over stance, and really only plasma can like effectively kill them at range, alongside like a couple other things. But overall, yeah, not very hot take, but I do agree. Next comment here says bolt guns should do more damage on body shots and headshots, but none of them should pierce through enemies at all. So first of all, this actually brings up a great point, that body shots in this game do like jack shit. I don't know who's cooking that idea, but like headshots are practically mandatory in this game to do any damage, which I understand they should have a multiplier, but body shots are like outright worthless. Like, you are properly wasting your ammo if you shoot anybody in the body, and like I can't think of any games that are like that. As far as them not piercing through enemies at all, in lore, the bolter rounds have so much mass that they will pierce right through guys at times and then like into others. So for Minoris, it should, but as far as like Majoris go with like crack and penetrator rounds, that would make sense, and they should detonate inside of like the bigger guys, especially the bosses, because that just makes sense. Like, you know, the mass of your bullet, or I guess in this place your rocket propelled grenade, just gets stopped. But that's not much of a hot take, I don't think. I think most people think that body shots are just way too weak in this game, but still, I agree with this comment here. Stunlock is a feels bad mechanic. Absolutely, stunlocks in this game are kind of ridiculous at times, and that's why no knockback is OP. And then we have Oberyn Gaia 8977, who I actually owe a last Fusel run, and we'll get there, Oberyn, if you're watching this. The game has a firepower problem. Ever since they introduced siege mode and added more enemies into absolute difficulty, the guns just can't keep up with the amount of enemies on screen, and they're absurd HP pools. Body shots do jack all, and even headshots don't kill the enemies quickly enough relative to their numbers. Absolute Ops and Siege Mode are really hard, which is great, but gameplay feels like a slog when there's a million bullet sponges on the screen. I do kind of agree that this game definitely has a problem with properly putting out a substantial amount of enemies without making them super tanky. Sometimes the bosses, I think that the devs did realize this in the PTS, that the bosses should not have a 66% HP pool. I didn't mind it too much, but like Neurothropes especially were just too tanky, and some like the enemies have a damage resist at times. Like when Lictors go invisible, it feels like they get an absurd HP increase or just like a damage reduction. It's very obnoxious, and some enemies are just wildly tanky. And don't even get me started on the enrage mechanic in this game. It's not too bad in siege mode. In the operations, the enrage mechanic healing guys is beyond obnoxious. So I definitely agree with a lot of what this comment is saying here. Not too hot of a take, I don't think, though. Next comment, the Thunderhammer should have faster melee speed. I think the Thunderhammer has fast enough melee. It's just that it needs way more knockback resist. Like, the main thing that gets you killed on the Thunderhammer in this game is that you cannot properly trade and get your contested health back, and it sometimes lacks the damage to outright one shot. And the whole point of a Thunderhammer, like a Thunderhammer double aftershock, is the single hardest thing in all of Space Marine 2 to pull off in melee, and it is not even one shot most of the extremis unless you have like double block charges. Really stupid design in my opinion, so I do understand the want for the Thunderhammer to be buffed. And now it says, Space Marine 2 is a good game, and Saber have done a good job adding content and supporting it throughout these months. Now that is a hot take. People do like to hate on this game, but I do agree that Space Marine 2 is a good game. It was very popular for a reason. It has gotten a lot of good updates. It is better now than it has ever been. That is true. It's really more of a lack of content, and that the content we have is terrible. It's just people want more, because this is like the quintessential 40k Space Marine game. Like, this is the Space Marine game. So I think this is a hot take in the sense that like a lot of people like to complain, but I do agree the game is in a better state than it's ever been, and we could have more. It could be better. Some things need to be fixed, but hey, I wouldn't have like 2,000 hours in it if I didn't like it. So definitely a hot take, but I agree. Next comment, nothing annoys me more than having two lictors spam the same stealth attack over and over, locking me until I die. Once again, we go back up to the stun lock as a feels bad mechanic. It is true, getting absolutely jumped by a triple lictor squad is one of the hardest things to deal with in this game, especially for like a heavy and you have a balanced parry window. Good luck, pal, you're getting cooked. And that's pretty much how it goes. Like, even for the best players in this game, people like Zambit just get shit on by triple lictors at times. It's heavy. It just happens. You'll just take like 9% of your HP, because that's how the game works. And now, button mashing QTE is never good. True. It's a finger destroyer, carpal tunnel simulator. Therefore, all grabs should be reworked. I agree with this entirely. I much prefer various timing events, even for a grapple. If you say that you like button mashing for stamina or strength, my counter is that a grapple is more about good leverage. Button mashing is always a dumb mechanic. I kind of agree with this. It's not very fun. I guess it's like a way, it really is just a way for devs to make it feel like you're interacting with something that is basically worthless. But also, the button mashing for the grabs in this game doesn't even matter. Like, it's just something you have to do, and then you parry them, but you lose the same amount of HP no matter what. So I agree, they should be reworked. That is a hot take. I haven't really seen anybody bring this up, but like, that's a great point, Caleb. Good stuff. Let's give a thumbs up and heart. N6 says, Chaos Minoras should be executable, maybe not the cultists, just like the Tyranid Minoras are. More iframes and being able to gain armor back more readily against Chaos and make them feel more manageable. I'm pretty sure they already are executable, not the, unless they mean like the Tyranid Minoras are, or they mean Majoris. I agree 100% of being able to execute Zangors and make fighting Chaos way more survivable. I don't think that Zangors are too big of a problem. I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people have troubles with Chaos, but the issue with Chaos is they do not have enough melee guys. They don't give you enough opportunities to gun strike. And like, that's what a lot of classes, like especially Assault, require to live in this game. The issue, like, Assault is pretty damn good against the Tyranids in this game, but against Chaos he sucks because he gets no gun strikes. So that's like the big issue with Chaos, is they don't feed you like a fundamental mechanic in the game. And then all classes should have a unique way of healing themselves, or execute should get back a small amount of health on cooldown. I don't agree with this at all. Classes should not be healing themselves in this game. They're not built around it. The only one that is the Vanguard, and Vanguard is already like one of the easiest classes in the whole game for that reason. And the only thing that balances him out is that he doesn't have like a tremendous amount of damage compared to other ones. If you gave a class, I mean, just look at Unmatched Zeal right now. Like, in the Siege mode, if you give healing to your whole team, they just, like, you're at full HP the whole time if you know how to play like at all. And I think it'd be broken for the class design in this game, I'll be honest, and I don't really agree with that, but this stuff I definitely do. Next comment here, Assault plus Thunderhammer is long overdue for a buff. Took a break almost half a year ago after maxing out the classes, came back for Siege mode and was incredibly disappointed to see if it's struggling. I get that there are niche builds for it, and that can do well, but I find those to be unintuitive and unfun, and the majority of players would agree with that. I do agree the Assault plus Thunderhammer are long overdue a buff, and we will be making a rant video, but I really, guys, like, I know I asked for hot takes, and you guys will give me a bunch of balanced stuff here. Like, I agree with most of this. Like, this is probably the most unique thing I've seen brought up that I do definitely agree with, and this one. I'll give you a heart and a like do. And then we go down to Assault should have a campaign, the campaign hover, and a primary weapon, even a bad one like only the bolt rifle, just something. The heavy receiving the basic incinerator would be more impactful than the heavy bolt rifle. Assault should refund charge on perfect dodges anyways. This is 100% true. This is like the dumbest design decision Saber's ever made. You know what I want? I want Saber to have to upload gameplay of them solo playing Assault, or just playing Assault in groups on like the new Siege mode versus Chaos post like Wave 15, and just so I can watch them eat shit, because I know like they have not play tested it, because if they did, they would buff him, because Assault is just in a terrible spot in for Chaos, especially right now. It's awful. It is the worst it has ever been. It's truly infuriating to play Assault versus Chaos in this game. It's always been bad. Chaos is a poorly designed faction. I don't think that's like a hot take at all, but yeah, Assault buff, I mean, this is pretty standard stuff, but I definitely agree. Assault's jetpack recharge rate should be fast as the campaign's jetpack. Agree with that. Everything feels like a bullet sponge. I mean, it depends what weapon you're using, but some things do feel like a bullet sponge. I don't really think it's that bad, but yeah, I can definitely see that if you're coming over from like a lower difficulty or something like that. Melted weapons should function differently to how they do now. If they want to do a shotgun, they should have done the bolt shotgun. Instead, melted should be like an armor-piercing slug shotgun, shooting a brief, tight, short-range beam that gets even more ridiculous damage the closer you are. The multi-melta should shoot 2 beams and have a longer beam duration. Yeah, it really should. If you ever play Rogue Trader, you'll see it like the melta, when it pops off, it's just a giant blast that annihilates something. Meltas in this game are like little fart blasters, especially like, except for the multi-melta, that thing fucks. It's built different. Straben is just like a different guy. He is that guy in this game. But as for like the Melta and lore, it should be like a proper armor penetration thing to kill things. Like that is like the Space Marine killer, besides Plasma. Heavy Plasma needs more ammo. I don't think it needs more ammo at all. No way in lore Space Marine only bring 8 to 10 charge shots to an op and call it a day. If Heavy Plasma already basically has infinite ammo when the Heavy is maxed out on his prestige, with all of his prestige perks, and also has ammo recovery on the thing. I don't agree with that at all. I just don't think this guy's probably building right. And then Siege mode is boring after playing like twice. I mean, that's not really a hot take, that's an opinion. But I guess for you, if it's boring, you know, I can't say you're wrong. I think players should be a lot tankier for how small the margin of error is with all the buggy run-ending bullshit in the game. There are actually a ton of grace features in this game. Space Marine 2 has like a ton of grace mechanics. Like the lower your HP gets, the higher your damage reduction goes up fundamentally. It gets easier and easier to survive. That is why when you are shot by a sniper in this game at full HP, you go down to like 70% HP. Like it leaves you at 30, but then if you get shot while you're at 30% HP, you don't often get one shot unless you're enraged, because you have more damage reduction. The whole point is that Saber wants you to feel like you're living on the edge, but to like a lot of newer players, this will make it feel like they are just getting completely bodied and like they're on low HP all the time, so it doesn't feel good. Chaos enemies desperately need tuning. It is unintuitive and unfun to fight enemies that stay far away and just shoot at you. In gameplay, Chaos range spam actually feels like getting hit with flying missiles, whilst players' range attacks feel like we're using 9mm pistols against an armored vehicle. This is pretty accurate. They also have no feedback, which is very irritating, so good point there, usurper. The Astartes Overhaul mod is a much better version of the game. You actually feel like an Astartes is not just a Souls-like protagonist. I don't really think the Astartes Overhaul is... Well, actually, can I say this in here? I like the Astartes Overhaul. I just don't like the balance of it that much. I know there's some difficulty mods out there for that, but like I think I just prefer the base game. I really do. And I think like the rule of cool is the biggest thing for the Astartes Overhaul, and my favorite part of it is the armor selection. I mean, there was a lot to love in it. The class design is pretty interesting, but it's a very different game. It's a very different game, and some people might prefer that, like this guy. So I guess it is a hot take. The load times are terrible. 100% true. They are awful in this game. Honestly, you know what? Rant time. There was the most obnoxious part of this game right now is that every time you load into siege mode, you load in, you see like one guy. There's like one guy in the lobby. He's sitting in the armory, like fucking making out with his friend, and you're just sitting there and like waiting to play the fucking mission, and then you have to leave the lobby, go through a whole goddamn loading screen, and then you go back into a new one. You load up, the guy's like level 5 because he came back for Space Marine 2 siege mode and thinks like, oh, hard mode, I heard there's great XP on this. He eats shit 5 times in your game, quits out, and then you're back in the loading screen, or your game just fucking crashes and disconnects. It's pretty bad. So this is true. Melee should be a reliable fallback when out of ammo, not a last resort. I mean, it definitely is a reliable fallback. It just depends on what class you're playing, what build setup you have. I don't think melee is remotely as bad as people say it is. I think that's more of like a misunderstanding of game mechanics. Damage numbers and health bar toggle and options menu so you can properly test stuff and get more accurate balancing patches through community feedback. True, but I think this game has a fucking skeleton crew. Damage numbers, though, would be kind of interesting. It would turn into more like an MMO, and I think the game looks quite nice as a cinematic thing, but having a toggle for options is not a bad idea. So we're going to give that one a heart. It's a good idea. I really dislike the way Saber handles the higher difficulty. Space Marine 2 should punish a player for making mistakes at a higher difficulty, not just because said difficulty was picked. Increasing enemy damage is fine. That just punishes the player harder for making mistakes. Increasing enemy health, on the other hand, it makes the game slower and more of a slog, whilst also making the player feel weaker. By keeping health relatively low and increasing damage whilst tightening parry/dodge windows, the player can still experience Starry's power fantasy on higher difficulties if they earn it through mastery of the game system. Some animations are also way too long. I think you have to like rebuild the game entirely for this. I really don't think like the HP of the enemies is really that bad at all in this game. Like time to kill is quite quick. Like you can finish most missions in like 30 minutes, even like a true solo. So I really don't think people like complain about bullet sponges all the time. I've played far worse games. I played Division 2, and it was like a fucking nightmare to shoot some of the guys in that game. So maybe I'm just used to it. Ravener and Lictor grabs are soul crushing, lol. Full health to nothing. Audio isn't always great to warn. There's actually a video I'll be uploading, or might already be uploaded, where there are literally silent lictors right now as like a bug or like a potential demonic dev addition to the game. It does suck to get like grabbed by a lictor out of nowhere, and I will say that like no audio cues, that's just terrible. It's like silent pox bursters in Dark Tide. You just turn a corner and you're like, ah yes, death, we meet again. It's time to speed run the next life. The input window for doing a full-fledged dodge roll as opposed to the simple dash step should be smaller. Right now it's quite large. If you input the dodge button a second time, even remotely in the same time frame as the first one, you're gonna be able to do the roll. You should be able to do the controlled dash step without committing to the big roll if I want to. I know we're hulking walking tanks, we're supposed to be fast and agile. It doesn't really feel like it right now, and it makes trying to avoid projectile spam or unblockable spam pretty laborious. I kind of agree. I think like, you know, the hedgehog rolling in this game is kind of stupid. Like, I mean, am I playing a Sonic game, or am I playing as a Space Marine? So I do like the little jumps they do, the little back dashes, they look good, but like the animation for rolling is like, did they just watch Dark Souls? That makes you wonder, you know, it really does. PvP is the most fun I've had in a game in years. It's nice to go back to relatively simple basics and not bombarded by silliness constantly. I haven't played too much of the PvP, but it is pretty fun. Honestly, I think the game is in a good state and can be enjoyed if you just take it as it comes. The devs are by and large responsive to feedback, and I think we as a community would get more out of the devs and game updates if we were nicer to them about them being online. Alright, Mr. Man, I'll be honest with you, they don't give a fuck about like how nice you are to them as long as you buy their stuff. There are some like proper fucking psychos that say some out-of-pocket shit to game devs all the time. It does not affect their opinion. Then maybe they'll put in like a really annoying mechanic to fuck with somebody that might happen, but at the end of the day, they have a bottom line, and that's the most important thing. So like being nice, I mean, you should be nice to the community managers and things like that. Like, don't be a dick to devs. It's not a cool thing to do, obviously, but they also, on the flip side, they're not going to stop trying to sell you shit just because somebody says something mean about them. But you know, I understand the sentiment here. There should be punishment for people that don't know that stims can heal mortal wounds. There should be punishment for them. It's so infuriating to see max level still not know you can heal mortal wounds, especially when they're Prestige 4. I mean, I don't know if they should be fucking punished for this. That's a little bit of a fucking crazy take, don't you think? A guy, but yeah, I mean, it is infuriating, I guess, but I don't really care too much. Like, there's no like cooldown on there's no limit to the amount of time someone can die and come back. So like if somebody eats shit and they want to speed run their next life, like they're on like that Buddhism speed run, they can definitely do that. That is an option. You should be able to choose whether or not you want to fight the Tyrants for Thousand Suns on any mission you want, no matter how out of place they seem. Big boss missions should get replaced, but everything else should. Well, I mean, like, I guess if you want like full gameplay options, they could. I always think that should be a priority because some of the maps would just be really obnoxious for that. Enemy spam slop is the lowest form of interesting combat they can add. Alright, this guy typed me a fucking biblical chapter here. Hold on. As much as increasing the enemy quantity can add some fun up to a point, it begins to reach a point where it encourages just spam rolling and running away from combat so as to not be swarmed and to then re-engage in a more favorable position, which in my opinion disrupts the flow of battle and the feeling of being a Space Marine. The biggest reason Chaos feels so bad to fight is a lack of connection of Majoras/Minoras, taking constant ship damage, and you can get rid of Minora spam via taking out Majoras, gives a similar vibe to point 1, where it makes you feel like feel much less like a Space Marine as you spam roll to avoid what damage you can, to reposition and borderline cower from damage at times, adding some mechanic to reduce or counteract what practically amounts to a damage over time from the range spam is all I feel is necessary to make Chaos much more engaging. Hopefully not that much of a hot take. PvP in Space Marine 2 is the most garbage waste of resources things I've ever seen. Hold on. Some people fuck with this game's PvP. You chill, bud. I have some friends that like this game's PvP. It's a very dedicated community. A lot of people like it. It's absurdly dead in the actual gameplay mechanics. Such balance is horrendous. Should be legit discontinued. They should not try to force. Whoa, this is the hottest take I've seen in this whole thing. I kind of agree with this stuff, but this part, I don't think you should fucking. Okay, you know what? Hot take from me, first tour guardsman. I agree with everything you just said. Fuck this game's PvP. I don't play that shit. I played like 2 times. If it got discontinued, I wouldn't give a fuck. But I know people love it, so I don't think they should discontinue it. Darktide has a much better bolter. This is just the true statement of all time. The bolter in Darktide isn't even like an Astartes Darktide, and just slaps. That thing blasts through whole waves and like ragers like nothing. Also, performance still sucks. Depends on your format. Excuse me. It depends on your platform or computer. Friendly grenades shouldn't stagger you. People aren't equipped to not use them when you melee fighters are doing the job and end up getting staggered into trouble. Yeah, I agree with this entirely. I don't think this is a hot take. I asked for hot takes, not like the what you think should be changed in Space Marine 2. But I guess that's part of it. But yeah, grenades staggering you here. This is an incredibly annoying mechanic. Honestly, every time you get staggered, even if like it was the most justified grenade ever, it feels like I'm being trolled. So I do agree with this one for sure. The game has done a pretty decent job with post-launch content, considering I'm pretty sure Saber left the skeleton crew on this game or just going all in for Space Marine 3. I do agree with this. Like, once again, the game is the best it's ever been, and there are still a lot of people playing it, still a lot of people coming back. And honestly, like, outside of people, like a niche amount of people complaining about this game, most people like playing Space Marine 2 because, listen, Warhammer fans are pretty used to getting completely nickeled and dimed. Like, you fuckers buy like $40 little plastic helmets, okay? Like, the DLC for Space Marine 2 is like the cheapest thing you bought all year. That's my hot take. Heavy should be able to switch defense type to block. That would be cool, but I don't know if you really benefit from block that much. That's like just the armor gain. There should be executions in PvP. I mean, I don't play the PvP, so I really know anything about this. Space Marine 2 is a game that had a promising launch followed by a lackluster post-launch support. I mean, this is pretty standard for Saber. Honestly, I think this game's post-launch support is better than a lot of games have, but for a live service, which this game totally is at this point, we have 2 roadmaps now. Like, anybody not calling this game a live service at this point, you're fucking delusional. It is just a live service, and like a kind of a mediocre one, but it is also the only Space Marine live service, so, you take what you can get, I guess. Alon Z says, easy game, point and shoot. No idea who this guy is, but yeah, I guess it could be an easy game if you point and shoot until you get smacked in the face. Sounds like this guy may have not even played the game. Who knows? Player power shouldn't be so tied to progression. This is a fucking stupid take. Player power shouldn't be tied to progression. What do you want it to be tied to? Just appear you're all at the exact same level the moment you load up the game. I mean, progression in games is what keeps people playing. It's kind of like the most, especially for horde shooters, like unlocking stuff. It's like the whole point. At least for a lot of people. They need to rework the Neurothrope boss fight, include a second boss for Chaos. This is coming. A Vortex Beast is in the works. At least that's been leaked. And Neurothrope boss does suck. I agree. Saber abandoned the game for the sequel too early in the game's lifespan. It could be way better, but now the skeleton crew left can't handle doing actual meaningful content for the game. Hence why cosmetics lately have been so underwhelming and balance changes are taking so long to fix stuff that's been bad since launch. I actually think that because this game did so well, they went into the Space Marine 3, that they are giving this game more support than they ever intended to initially, past the initial roadmap. I think that first roadmap was the only roadmap this game was ever intended to have, and now we have more because this game was such a hyper success. So I kind of think it's the opposite here. Thunderhammer should receive a straight 2x damage buff. I don't think it should do 2x damage buff. That'd be kind of insane. But all of its current values just double them. I don't know, maybe make it so Assault only now that they've given it to Bulwark. I don't play enough Bulwark to have a real opinion on that. But if an Assault stands in close, it fully charges a heavy attack, should do more damage over a bigger area than one charged heavy plasma cannon shot, not less. Straight doubling its damage values won't fix the class, but it would be at least be a good starting point. I think this is Pied Piper. I've talked to you before about this a little bit in my stream chat. but if you're watching this video, I think that the Assault's main problem is less so his damage. The Assault has really good damage. He has incredible Nova damage. He does significantly more damage than the Vanguard does. Like that's true. His Fort Clear is very easy to access, like things like Zealous Blow. Wings of Flame is incredible for killing multiple Tyranid bosses and things like triple Carnifexes. His main issue is he lacks survivability because the way that contested health works in this game is that ranged damage is the best way to get back your CHP, and he only has a secondary, and unlike the Bulwark, he does not have a ton of damage reduction. So he could use like a contested health recovery mechanic on like Jump Pack or something, in my opinion. Console FOV is absolutely not in any way a massive hindrance in Siege mode and does get you killed or grabbed without you seeing it coming like ever. I didn't even know this was a fucking complaint, but it's good to know that this is something people whine about. The jetpack should work like the Assault in Space Marine 1. I didn't play too much Space Marine 1, so I don't really remember what the jetpack worked like. We should be able to play with Chaos Skins and PvE if we want. I kind of agree with this because if you want to play with Chaos Skins, why not? People already make like 1,000 suns all the time. The PvP ordeals are monumentally more difficult to achieve than the PvE ordeals. Actually, they're the easiest to achieve because you only go into a private lobby and get them all. So I think this guy just has not figured that out yet. There's devs should stop being scared and boost player count for Siege mode. We're all thinking about why else would there be a mod for it. They said it's a performance thing. Also, Siege mode is not very hard with 3 players already. 4 would just make the game incredibly fucking easy for the players who know to play it. There's absolutely no reason why Assault doesn't get the full campaign package in operations. It's probably like a map terrain issue, though I have played mods that allow it, so maybe one day they'll actually change that. Vanguard fucking slaps so hard. This isn't even a hot take. Vanguard's like the most glazed class in this game. I don't mind dying in Siege mode because I am a Death Company Blood Angel, and that is lore accurate. All right, this guy is the glorious RPer, failing upwards. That is truly the mantra of like some of the Primarchs in Space Marine, 40k lore in general. Reduce the attack speed of Lictors and Raveners. It's stupid how they can stun lock combo you when there's like a 4 of them in Siege mode. This is a massive skill issue. Stability matters when more than the new content. As someone who really can't finish an op because of frequent soft plus hard crashes, I do agree this game needs a stability increase. Good point. I'll give you a little heart there, Shaq Nasty. Pistols, Inferno Pistol is good. Inferno Pistol is not good, is mid at best. Pines Pistol is actually meh. This okay, listen, man. I am alright. You know what? We're gonna read all of it. This is just wrong. Pines of Pistol is goated in this game. Depending on loadout / perks, a bolt pistol can be better than heavy bolt pistol. Post gameplay. This guy have gameplay? I'll check later. But Inferno Pistol is good. This is wrong. This weapon is mid. Heavy Bolt Pistol is just the best. And like honestly, I'd love to just see this guy post some true solo gameplay with this to actually say this. Or like it's not true. And the Plasma Pistol is actually meh. The Plasma Pistol's AoE gun strikes are like the king of Siege mode. So this is just like straight up misinfo here or misunderstanding. General weapon perk that restores HP is S tier. Should be prioritized over damage if no other healing available. Makes bolt rifles very good. It is a very good perk. I don't think it's S tier, but it is a very good perk. The only good block melee is a chainsword because of its fast combos. It's just not true. Block knife is by far the best block knife. It's by far the best knife and has the best boss damage on the sniper. For harder run sims are to be used for removing the mortal wound. This can't even be done in solos, but I mean, it depends on who you're playing with. If you're playing with bots. Siege mode is ridiculously hard, and that's a good thing. Siege mode is not for XP farming. This is definitely true. Operations are for XP farm, also true. If one has to spend more than a minute in the armory, he should leave the party first and do it alone. This is true. All right, you know, you're gonna get a heart just for this and a thumbs up. I don't even care if I disagree with you on everything about the pistols. Like I just don't agree with this at all. But this part, yeah, dude, these 2 fucking guys just like sitting there holding hands and talking about like the coolest thing their Primarch did in the armory. That can like fuck off. I'm good. I'm tired of joining in the lobbies. It takes forever. Console players should be able to see chat. How is this still not a thing? This is a thing across multiple games, but it's not a bad point. All classes should have 2 ranged weapons. I guess. No, I don't think that's true, actually. No, the Bulwark would be pretty damn OP. He's already very, very strong. If he had a primary weapon like Bolt Carbine, there wouldn't be much reason to take the certain classes like Vanguard with him. Perfect blocking should stagger. Well, I guess you could still take the Vanguard. It's just that his ranged weapons are really strong, and the ranged weapons are very strong in this game for the most part, and adding a primary would up the power level of some very strong classes even more. I do think you could give them, like somebody mentioned earlier that we went over, that like the bolt rifles would not be a bad idea, but 2 ranged weapons, okay, I mean, maybe. Perfect blocking should stagger. No, I don't think it should stagger at all. It'll also make it harder to actually get your block charges because sometimes you want them to properly attack you and like do their whole loop, or excuse me, their whole string. Might not be a hot take, but Apothecary when? Probably never. Apothecary would be very broken in this game. This game has a limited healing system, and any game that has like a limited healing system is basically a margin for error. So like once you run out of an Estus Flask in not Dark Tide, in Dark Souls, once you run out of your Estus Flask, and that tells you how many mistakes you can actually make. And so an Apothecary would just be like the automatic, like it would break the economy of the game in terms of drops for stims and stuff, especially in operations. There should especially so like compared to the unmatched zeal. Unmatched zeal is already pretty broken in this game for that reason, and apothecary class is all about that. I don't think there's a place for that in this game. I think like most of this game is about dealing damage, not just like healing your teammates. There should be level-based matchmaking. I don't play PvP, no thing on there. Fencing requires skill to be effective. This is true. It requires less skill than balanced and block does, but it does still require skill because you need to know when to gun strike. That is a timing thing. Like you can be bad enough. Like I've seen people eat shit with fencing, so you still have to know how to actually play the game. It is still the easiest weapon type though. Sprint speed needs to be doubled at least. Space Marine 3 needs to go way bigger. Hopefully Games Workshop will let the game push lore forward and we get something big involving Gilliman, the Lion, and a Demon Primarch at minimum. Maybe we will see Gilliman. I do hope we get to see that, but as far as sprint speed being doubled, I've played with a mod that had doubled sprint speed before. It is insane. It's very goofy feeling, especially for it's also hard to design enemies around a double sprint speed, and also becomes very easy to just speedrun a map with that. Heavy Plasma is hot ass. Melta and Heavy Bolter are way easier to use. Heavy Plasma is the best weapon in this game, and it has been taken to the highest waves of Siege mode completed solo ever. And also, it's just objectively good. It's just like objectively the best. It has the easiest time with the hardest content, which is the triple Hellbrute. Heavy Bolter and Heavy Melta, they both struggle significantly more than Heavy Plasma does with that. So it's just a god tier weapon. It struggles with nothing. This is a hot take, and it's wrong. Minoris enemies should do. Hold on, before we go read more. Okay, I was really afraid I was going to see like 17 more paragraphs. Minoris enemies should do less damage and should go down in 1 or 2 shots. They already do like no damage, so I don't really know what this complaint is. It takes 4 shots. You kind of have to. Let's go back. You kind of have to just sit in their attacks to like take a ton of damage from them, so this just tells me these guys know how to actually handle Minoris packs. It takes 4 shots sometimes, even when making headshots. The Zangors, this is not true at all. This is just not at all true. They die instantaneously to a headshot from every gun but plasma. So that's just not true. The Zangors with shields are so tanky, even when swinging heavy attacks, they block it. Getting stunned. Actually, maybe the Zangors don't die instantaneously with a headshot, but the Minoris the Zangors don't die from an instant headshot, I don't believe, but the Minoris on Tyranids absolutely do. Getting stunned, it takes too long to get back up. On higher difficulties, it is a death sentence. Not really. You can get knocked and stunned all the time in this game. That's why knockback resist exists in this game. And I know I've played solo, and you can get stunned and take a lot of damage, but you don't always die. Enemies feel like bullet sponges sometimes. The damage is not consistent. Armor could be less like paper. Armor is actually very valuable in this game. It's just a lot of people misunderstand the way armor works in Space Marine 2 is that it's kind of like it's a drip feed of armor that you want. Like you don't want to be like the intention is not to be at full armor 24/7. It's that armor reduces all the damage you take from any melee hit in this game to 0, no matter what your how much is left. It doesn't matter if it's a boss. Doesn't matter if it's like an extremis or something. It will just reduce it to 0. So this is not. I mean, armor is it is very valuable when drip fed to you. Able to heal your teammates with a med pack. This would be a cool idea. That's not a bad idea. Chaos are horrible to fight to the point where it's become a chore and sucks the fun out of game. True. Chaos does suck. Bulwark healing banner is impossible without good teammates. That's why you use it for yourself and your teammates suck. The community has a fairly low average level and takes wild stances on balancing that thankfully Saber mostly ignores. This is actually a hot take, and this is also probably pretty fucking true. Space Marine 2's player base is very casual, and a lot of the players simply do not understand the game, and it is unfortunate, but well, it's not really unfortunate, but like that's just how Space Marine is. It's the 40k game. It's the Space Marine game. That's the most popular part of 40k. But it is true that a lot of them do want like an absolute snooze fest of a game, and they want to play on like the highest difficulty at all times for some reason, when really they should just lower their difficulty level a little bit, because that's kind of why they're in the game. Very few of these are actual hot takes. True. Somebody said it. An actual opinion that I haven't seen anyone take, you can actually still kind of justify taking the regular bolt pistol against Chaos on certain classes, since Minotaur spam doesn't have a synapse mechanic, and they all need to be individually killed. Heavy bolt pistol ammo variant usually has enough ammo to deal, but not always, and it's a shame to waste plasmas to stalker rounds, etc. The bolt pistol sucks because its gun strike damage is terrible, and the heavy bolt pistol also just way better for headshot damage. So like really, I don't think the bolt pistol's contested health recovery also sucks compared to the heavy bolt pistol, so heavy bolt pistol's just better. In siege mode, they need to fix the teleporting lictors / raveners and tone down the damage scaling from 20 to 25. It's a little much. The shotgun warriors are the worst. Like I would say the damage scaling from 20 to 25 is absolutely absurd. In the duo I did with Zambit, it is like fucking impossible to live at points if you just like get like nicked by anything. It is awful. And we were fighting chaos, and you pretty much just get shot by Rubric Marine and instantaneously die. While the Assault have quite a few bad gear perks, the majority of players who say Assault is bad are just bad players who have poor fundamental skills and knowledge of the game. This is also a hot take, and it's 100% true. There are a lot of very not so highly skilled players in this game that make a lot of has some very strong opinions about it and like what the balance of the game is. But Assault is bad. It's just a lot of people don't actually know why the Assault is bad. They just know they fucking die with it. Besides, like, I mean, I guess you could just say generally the survivability is pretty bad for it. Assault should be able to fire while hovering. This would be cool. This game feels like it was conceived as a Deathwatch game, and making it about the Ultramarines doesn't make a lot of sense. 3 normal Space Marines can't do what they do at all, and the entire set of everything is really based on a kill team. That's kind of true, but it's also just a co-op game. And you can also say the same thing about Space Marine 1, and Space Marine 1 is all about the Ultramarines, and Ultramarines are like the Space Marine. They wrote the book on being Space Marines, so having them in your Space Marine video game, it just makes sense. I would like to see other chapters, though. There's no way the Adeptus Mechanicus have enough people and resources to keep a galactic war machine working when even the smallest of light bulbs requires a tech priest to change it. Plus, the religious aspect of simple maintenance would add thousands of man-hours to the lifespan of any las rifle. That alone is an immersion break. Oh wait, you're talking about the game. Yeah, this guy was talking about a bit of a 40k lore dump here, but yeah, I mean that's true. But also you're a heretic, so the Inquisition will hear about this. This game rocks, and it's well worth the money I've paid for it. Also, don't play Siege Mode without a team perk. This is true. Are people doing this? Is this happening? I like the little firework you put here. All right, that's a heart. Drop the ball with post-launch, mainly cosmetic and PvP. They did kind of drop the ball, mainly with cosmetic and PvP. I like the cosmetics in this game we've gotten, but like I never gave a shit about the PvP, so this really bothered me. Assault's jetpack should be totally reworked. All right, I've read enough jetpack for today. PvP is underrated, potentially true. Spore mine should be completely removed. This is just a fucking. They don't add any strategic or fun. Or anything strategic or fun to the game, just a nuisance. They do force you into certain locations, like they do have a place in the game. I don't think this is true at all. And like I don't think they should remove an entire aspect of the game. I don't think they're that bad. I think the damage reduction was good enough. Assault needs Unmatched Zeal as a signature. He does not. Unmatched Zeal will be busted on that class. Tactical should have access to all the melee weapons, but if you take some of them, you can only take a pistol. Potentially, it would be cool. I should say he should have the power sword. That should be something he has. The tactical should have most weapons in this game. You should also get the power axe, but I feel like the power axe is going to be on the bulwark and probably the tech marine when he comes out. But yeah, it's not that crazy of a take. Chaos is way more fun to play against in Siege mode. This is true because you have more access to like healing resources in Siege mode. There's also like the maps are better suited for fighting Chaos. The thing that's hard about Chaos in Operations that you're like in Operations you have fewer resources in general, and it's just harder to like survive off of one stim that is buying like 40 of them, and most players are just trying to get to wave 15, so I can definitely see this. Siege mode isn't fun because it's not fun being one shot by a Tyranid sniper from full health and armor. Getting shot by snipers doesn't happen that often in this game, and also unless you're like wave 20 plus, this shouldn't ever happen, because nothing can actually one-shot you from a ranged attack except for like a Devourer when it's enraged, and that's not actually like a single attack. That's the fact that like the instances of damage they do are multiple, and that's how you actually die in this game, or from one volley from a Tyranid machine gunner. I'm assuming he's talking about the later Siege mode waves, because that can happen, but in the other mode, like earlier than that, it does not. Or it's bullshit that you have zero chance to recover the health lost from being command grabbed by a lictor / ravener. Yeah, we already talked about this earlier. I definitely agree. The command grabs need to be changed a bit. Assault needs a rework. True. Horde mode shouldn't be this glitchy and crash so often. It can't just be me. It's not just you, Andrew. You are not alone. This is a safe area, and I agree, it has gotten quite awful at times. They didn't need to create a whole new map to make a fun horde mode. I mean, I'm glad they did, though. The difficulty ramp feels artificial and relies on bullshit gotchas. Also, Darktide is better. Darktide is better, but the difficulty ramp in this game really isn't that artificial for the most part. Like, it's really not that hard. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like, the difficulty in this game is really not that hard. A lot of people just don't know how this game works at all. Every class should have knockback resistance after being knocked down once. It should be mandatory to use knockback resistance perks to avoid getting stunlocked, and even getting stunlocked shouldn't be a thing. Yeah, knockback perks are a little OP in this game for that reason. I personally feel the players currently are very strong, and in some areas too strong. I know we like to meme on assault, but it's not even remotely close to being as bad as people make it out to be. Balance, the game is not the weapon type, is honestly in a fairly good spot, minus things like block weapons being bugged and chaos attrition damage. The assault class is terrible versus chaos. He does take like 9 minutes to kill triple hell bruise by himself. I have done that. Versus Tyranids, he is totally fine. The assault is not a bad class at all versus Tyranids, but against chaos, he is as bad as people say he is. And on the siege mode especially, he is like hot trash. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if you're trying to push the highest waves of siege, assault is just a terrible class to do it on, and that kind of sucks. So like, an entire class in this game is kind of like removed from the game when you have to fight chaos in the higher waves, because his entire kit is built around living from execute to execute, and he will die before he can get a thunderhammer hit off. So that's pretty bad. Block weapons are better in siege mode due to extremis, especially chaos. It is easier to get 2 blocks and interrupt against terminators instead of trying to parry the entire combo while 1,000 other enemies terminators are trying to get you. It depends on the weapon. Some weapons do have better block variants, like the block knife, the block chainsword, and the block thunderhammer are the overall best for them, but I think like the fencing power sword is definitely a better weapon for the power sword. Space Marine 1 audio is way better. I've never played I haven't played too much of the Space Marine 1, especially don't remember the audio, so I don't really have a take on this. Give me more ammo. It's not really a hot take, it's just a statement. You know, guys, do we read the title here? It is hot takes, and you guys are giving me the most balanced shit ever. How far are we into this? Where even are we? Oh god, did I lose my spot? Wow, we really went down. We're close, guys. We're almost there. Fucking fencing weapons are a fundamentally terrible gameplay design that top players' bad habits. Block weapons, while fun, are so drastically different from balance that it's asking you to play the game the wrong way, and the issue stems from how the game is inherently designed so poorly. If Space Marine had a block as a default option, the game would 100% be in a better place. I agree with this. It's that a lot of people like learned the fencing weapons, and fencing weapons are wildly easy to use in terms of parrying. They have a 40 frame active parry. That is like grandpa timing and a 0 frame startup. They are a super crutch for a lot of people. They really are. And the moment you take that crutch away from them and make them use the block weapons, which block weapons in this game still have a 20 frame active window. So the block weapons, like, they are very forgiving in their timing. It's just that fencing is, again, grandpa timing. So I do agree with Sturm here. For a melee focused game and how much effort they put into it, melee still sucks ass and is too much effort for little reward. The fact so much they've done was done in the first game almost 15 years ago is just dumb. Space Marine 1 had Exterminatus, Dreadnought Assault, and a basic but extremely viable melee system. Melee attacks should give back CHP that can be solidified by gunshots, strikes, and melee strikes. Siege has just made this discrepancy so much worse for melee. I tried my favorite block hammer assault. I just could hit anything. Too much range damage. Any attack commitment leaves you open to getting melted. Meltas and Melta bombs are king in Siege. This is true. I do agree there should be a far better CHP recovery on melee attacks in this game. That's the biggest problem of melee, is that right now the way you have to play melee, like, it has a pretty high skill cap at the moment, like a fairly high skill cap for the melee system in this game, and mainly because the CHP system is broken and it's like completely moved towards the ranged weapons you have. And if you have a hammer in this game, you will just get melted if you miss anything. It is pretty awful at times. Even if you're good, it's pretty awful. After the last update, I have lags in every match playing on Xbox Series X. So how the fuck is this a hot take? Guys, like, come on here. Like, read the fucking title. Execution should be for Majoris and up only and give back red health. Wait, execution should be for Majoris and up only and give back red health? Interesting way to put that. Well, I guess that it's not a hot take, just common sense. I do agree with that. Oh, wait, I misread this entirely. Executions should be for Majoris and up only and give back red health. I don't think that's true. They should not be giving you back your HP. That's really just like I mean, they already do with the Extremis on Unmatched Steel. It's already OP. Saber actually sucks ass, but people keep defending them. I mean, Saber's really not as bad as people say they are. I've seen way worse game companies, and also I've seen worse publishers like Activision. They dropped the ball when it came to customization. They should have tied classes to different chapters and play styles. I think the customization is pretty good, but tying them to different chapters, no thanks. Like, you say they dropped the ball for customization, Johnny, but different chapters being forced to be different classes would be kind of awful. Unless they made, like, you know, like as many chapters, excuse me, as many playstyles as there are chapters, or as many classes as there are chapters, and at that point you'd have, like, what, 40 plus classes in this game at this point, probably more. So I don't really agree with that at all. Heavy is the most boring class to play. That's really an opinion. That is a hot take, though. I actually like the heavy quite a bit. The tactical should only have the combat knife and the normal bolt pistol as a secondary. This is fucking stupid. It's mid. I guess that is a take you could have. The game is mid and uncooked from top to bottom. You watch fucking Naruto, dude. You know all about mid and uncooked. I'm just kidding. Naruto's actually pretty good. Boruto fucking sucks, though. Mid-campaign, mid-PvE, genuinely horrendous PvP. You need another year minimum before release. I don't think this is true at all. Not even close to true. Dumb Twitch streamers think Vanguard is better than Heavy Plasma and Tactical. I mean, is that a hot take or a statement? But like, if you just, Vanguard is definitely not better than Heavy Plasma and Tactical. Heavy is boring. Again, this is more of just a standard take. Heavy sucks. This is just fucking wrong. Heavy is the best class in this game. Period. That's just how it is. He's reached the highest waves in solo because he's OP. That's just how he be. Straben is that guy, is what I'm trying to say. Block weapons are overrated. Well, block weapons are really good on the weapons you're good on, like the knife. It is the best knife. Are they overrated? I mean, people don't even use them half the time, so I think it's crazy to say that. If you say fencing instead, it'd be an actual hot take. See, true Sturm, because people glaze the fuck out of fencing in this game already. But yeah, block weapons can be overrated sometimes. Like, they aren't always the best option, but overall, they are the best for a lot of the weapons in this game. So I don't really think that's an overrated thing, though they are bugged currently. They do not apply the 50% buff from parry for like the damage buff, so that is unfortunate. I understand games should be critiqued, and I'm for that. Okay, we got the final one, the final paragraph. I understand games should be critiqued, I'm for that, but the amount of complaining I have seen in the forums in 2 days is ridiculous. I'm talking specifically about the complaints about low-tier guys jumping into Siege hard mode. This has actually been happening to me a ton. I had guys perma-dead the entire game. It was fucking ridiculous. Guys who were like level 1 prestige, level 9 coming in and just eating shit, treating it like an XP farm. Like, they find out real quick they should keep playing, but it's fucking ridiculous the amount of people that just come in and are very low level and just fucking bite it. Like, it is kind of irritating because it turns into a solo game at that point. People need to grow up. If you want a certain team or certain meta play with friends that are going to do that, I don't agree with just saying that people should grow up about that. There should be like level caps to like the harder modes in games. Like Dark Tide just did this with the Orc missions because there were just way too many, for lack of a better word, just trash players that were coming into Orc missions and just ruining them in the random missions, the random select screen, the quick play. Because if you go into the Orc missions and you're playing with somebody that has no idea how to play, and you're just trying to play the game in the quick play, well, if the matchmaking games in the matchmaking system in the game sucks, then you're just gonna get some trash player because it put him in the wrong mission or let him in a mission that he was not ready for, just by like the way the game's progression system was designed. So I don't really agree with that. Let the difficulties sort stuff out instead of complaining every post. I do agree people shouldn't complain every single post, but like, it is an issue that the matchmaking in the game is what is allowing for lower skill players to get into missions that they die endlessly in. So that is unfortunate. As a newish player with only 100 hours so far in Space Marine 2 the last month, the complaining is starting to sound like COD players. Also, everyone assumes leaks will come out, and I hope they do, but I don't hold my breath and assume they do. Lastly, I think we should have realistic expectations for the game continuing DLC. Siege is great and fresh air. I think the game is cool. I have Prestige 1 on 4 of my characters, enjoying it a lot. Well, I'm happy you're enjoying it a lot, Boomy. But yeah, I do agree with what you're saying here. I don't think people need to stop complaining, but I do think the game is in a good spot right now. This patch, it did feel a little undercooked, but it's still pretty damn good, I must say. And then Henry says here, game bad. I know you watch this, Henry. I don't know if you're gonna watch this late in the video, but I know you watch me regularly, so you really think game bad? That is unfortunate. And then that it's a bad game. Well, these are certainly hot takes. At the very end, at the final portion of this community post, we got to the hot takes, the actual ones, that the game is bad. Excellent. Good stuff, guys. Well, that is everything for this video. Those are all of your hot takes. And to be honest, more of you should have read the fucking title. But that's it. My voice is very tired after reading like 200 fucking comments. But that's it for this video. If you like content like this, subscribe for more. I figured this would be fun. And see you guys next time. I'll be uploading more build guides and more videos. And of course, my bi-weekly assault rant, because one day he'll be fixed. Trust me.